Hello, Verida, and welcome to our last episode of Life Inside Verida. We are going to have a great time today. We are bringing in a couple of departments that certainly are what we would call the center or the core of this company, our call center organization and our workforce management organization within the company. And we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about what they do, some of the things that go on, how maybe they connect with you and work with you. So hold on for just a minute and we'll get started on that. But before we do, we are going to introduce our guests. We're going to let them share their name, their title, and basically what they do, what their role is within the company. So we'll start over on the end here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lon Thompson. I'm the call center director. I'm responsible for all the call center agents and the SSRs in the Georgia call center.
Good morning, Richard Price, Director of Workforce Management. I have a team that's based mainly here in Villa Rica. We also have a remote agent and one in Tennessee as well.
Great. Well, thank you both for being here. We're going to jump right into some questions because we know everyone out there wants to know what happens in the call center and workforce management and what you guys do and what your teams do. So we're going to start off with the first question. I'd like to ask the call center, just maybe tell us, and you just mentioned a little bit about the groups under the call center umbrella. Tell me a little bit more about the various groups within your department and maybe what they do.
Yes. We have about 80 call center agents and SSR employees combined. Mm-hmm. So we handle inbound calls from our members during our normal business hours, of course, 6 to 6. Mm-hmm. And we interface with our facilities and our members particularly.
Okay. And now with the call centers, there are, of course, we have a call center here in Georgia, but we also have call centers in other parts of the U.S., namely Tennessee is one of our locations, as well as Arkansas.
Yes, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So there we have 8 locations that we support, and we're always looking to grow and add new business.
Oh, great. Now tell us a little bit about workforce management and what is it that you guys do, and maybe tell me how you're connected with the call center.
Yeah, so workforce management is in my opinion, an integral part of any contact center. From my personal opinion, I would suggest that any contact center who has at least 50 agents should seriously consider a workforce management department and the solutions that go along with that. The integral part that we provide is from the agents that are scattered all over the United States, here in Verida and other locations, is we look at call patterns. We look at customer behaviors, and we provide to leaders such as Lon an optimal schedule for the agents. This ensures that service levels are met, and it ensures that the labor force that is tied to the contact center is effectively and efficiently as used as possible.
Wow. So you guys work hand in hand.
Yes.
You really can't have one without the other in terms of our call centers, as large as they are.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's talk about the importance of the relationship between a customer service rep and a member. How important is that? And, what are things that you all do internally maybe to support your customer service reps as they deal with members on a day-to-day basis?
Great question. The call center reps are under a lot of, a huge focus on the service that they provide. They're under a lot of stress with the calls that come in. It can be a difficult role, but they are prepared in training with the skills they need. Coming in the door, they need to be able to multitask, be very empathetic, compassionate, and understand that they're the voice of our customer. They create Verida's reputation. So it's important that they understand that and they're willing to help further improve the perception of the company and grow the confidence of our members.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned a few of those words, and reputation is one of those, being empathetic is another. And from the perspective of marketing, that's something that's very important to us, our brand.
Yes.
And a lot of people may think of a brand as just a logo, but no, it's not. it is part of your reputation. Is how people think about you. It's the experience that they have when they engage with you. So there again, customer service reps are sort of the front line.
Yes.
Members call in, and that's who they get.
That's right.
And based on that experience, really kind of gives people an idea of how they want to think of who Verida is. So important for our customer service reps to really be, I guess, on top of their job when they're dealing with members.
Yeah. And they need to be equipped with the additional skills and have that continued training. We just finished a soft skills training course to help further add tools to their toolbox to be able to diffuse customers, to be able to build that relationship, to understand the importance in the role that they play, as we talked about in building the reputation.
Fantastic. Wow. So, of course, we talked about, being able to have the right number of staff in place to handle calls. Tell me, how does that really work with workforce management? Making sure that, and I assume, is this, a week-to-week thing, a month-to-month thing, or a daily basis where you're looking at, call center agents, I'm sure, as employees do, some are in, sometimes people get sick or they may come in late, but those calls are still coming in. So how do you predict that ahead of time to keep people going?
Excellent question. Let's take the example that Lon just mentioned. She referenced some soft skills training. These trainings don't just happen accidentally, right? So they take time, and this is time that the agents have to step away from the phone, and other departments are engaged, for instance, training. So to even orchestrate something such as a soft skills training, we have to, one, reach out to the training department. What availability do they have? Right? Then you have to go to the contact center and say, well, what availability do they have? Right now, we're in the month of December. Historically, workforce management knows this. We can look back and say, is December a good month to have offline activities? The answer is yes. So we're able to coordinate these efforts and say, okay, operations, let's take 10 agents from noon until 1 because training's available. The contact center is also available. We're able to look at call patterns and histories. We typically look at Monday as the busiest day of the week. Right. So we would generally say a day like Monday is not a good day for training. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays are excellent days for trainings. Okay. But we don't just look at the days themselves. We look at the actual intervals. From a workforce management perspective, we exist on 15-minute intervals, and that's what we're looking at. So to go back to your question, how do we do it? One is we look at from an annual perspective. We look at which months of the year have the highest or lowest call volumes. Then we can break it down by quarter. And by breaking it down on a quarterly basis, we engage the HR departments, and we can start figuring out, do we need to hire? Do we not need to hire? And then we can get those trainings in places oftentimes months in advance, preparing for volume that we are forecasting to come into the various departments. And then once you've got it by quarters, then you start breaking these schedules down. We like to get them out in advance, a couple weeks in advance, but things always change. So we do have analysts that are on a day-to-day basis, real-time, looking at what's the call doing, what are the agents doing? Did the flu sweep through, and are we missing more agents than we expected? These are things we actually build into the schedules, and certainly like anybody else that's out forecasting, nothing is, I shouldn't say, it's rarely, spot on exactly how you have it. So we've got contingency plans in place when volumes or agents are doing things that we didn't forecast. So it's constant reevaluation of looking at the past to help predict the future.
Wow, that is incredible. There's so much that goes on, and I know, of course, if you all have been watching our podcast, hopefully you've learned a lot. I know I certainly have. Just because everyone has a job to do, and they're really focused on doing the best job that they can in their area, it's great to be able to hear what happens behind the scenes and understand, the complexities of what goes on to make our company, up and running, 24/7, 100%, et cetera, with all of the challenges that may pop up along the way. Let me ask this. So I did have a question I was going to ask about workforce management. When you get all the right people in place, and I think you've kind of answered that already, things change. Because my question was, well, if you get all the right people and you forecast Why do you know what else is needed in terms of workforce management if you have everybody in place? But I assume it's because things shift.
Yeah, things shift, and just to take a step back to get the right people in place, it's a very coordinated effort. There's a lot of eyeballs that are and brains are focused on getting the right people in place, and it depending on like areas. I'll give you for instance, we've got, let's say you've got the right number of people hired, you've got great shifts in place, excellent timings for breaks and lunches. If the area that we're supporting is heavily reliant on public transportation, for instance, let's say there's a strike that goes in place, right? And all of a sudden the buses aren't running, or there's a wreck, you know, people come in and, you know, so things happen, no matter how well you've planned for it, things like that happen. And so then we have to react to that. Can we shift call volume somewhere else, right? Can another site, can they absorb this volume? Can the agents that made it into the office, hey, it looks like the agent, so for instance, if it's bad traffic, the agents are still going to come in, but they're going to be about an hour behind. Let's shift some breaks or lunches. Did we have a training plan? If the answer is yes, let's shift that training to another day, or maybe later in the day so we can cover that call volume until the agents do come in. So there's always balancing in
Constantly.
place. Yeah,
Constantly. Wow. Okay, well, let's jump back to the call center for a minute. Lon, I'd like to ask you, what are some of the key attributes of a call center agent? They are our front line, but what are you looking for in really great agents?
First, it starts with empathy, someone that has compassion. It does help to have technical skills, able to multitask, someone that is willing to go the extra mile, that's a critical thinker, able to analyze, provide solutions. So that type of person usually does quite well in the call center, and they are able to build a career, which we've had great success in Verida with people starting as a customer service representative and progressing through the organization to other departments such as SSR, dispatch.
That's fantastic. And speaking of SSRs, because let's see, you have your group of customer service agents, but you also have the SSRs. Tell us a little bit, what does SSR stand for and what do they do?
SSR stands for Special Services Representative, and they interface with our facilities, and they coordinate with our members that are using the service for more critical services such as dialysis, chemo. Our members that have treatment 3 to 5 times a week that attend facilities. So we try to make the path a lot easier for our members to get to those appointments so they don't have to call us every day or every week. So our standing order team receives those requests from the facilities. They set up the transportation and provide that one-to-one relationship with the member and the facility to ensure that our members are getting to and from their appointments on time.
That's fantastic. So there again, that's a whole other facet of the company and the organization in terms of who we serve.
Yes.
And the relationship those SSRs have with the members and making sure that they get to those facilities on time. So there's a whole relationship going on there, because I know that even within the department, we have what we call facility outreach managers.
Yes.
And I understand that they play an integral role in working with SSRs, working with the facilities to ensure that members are getting to their appointments on time and sort of being that liaison. So you all work with the facility outreach managers as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's important because our facility outreach manager, they're face-to-face. So anything that they hear from the facility, whether it's something that we've done well or something we need to improve on, they bring that information back to the department and we make the adjustments based on our service failures, our opportunities to ensure we're able to address what concerns that are brought to that facility outreach manager.
Thank you so much. Now, one more question, and actually I'm going to save this one for a little bit later. I want to jump into asking, does workforce management only focus on the call center and call center agents, or are there other departments that you support?
Yeah, excellent question. So at a very high level, the workforce management team does focus on the actual calls themselves, calls that come into the center and then how the agents are interacting. Calls. We really look at handle time, the average handle time, which includes the time speaking with the customer and the work that is derived afterwards. So, for instance, after hanging up with a customer, if the agent has to go into the system and make updates or changes, that time gets factored into the handling as well. Then workforce management can provide, to your question, assistance for what we call offline work. So Lon was talking about SSRs. A lot of the work that they do is not directly tied into the phone system. So workforce management can still track offline work and then provide to contact center leadership the type of work or the amount of agents that would need to handle offline work. Workforce management can forecast and help with staffing from custodial work to lawn maintenance, right?
Wow.
We can do it all. If the information can be provided to us, we can provide back how many people you'll need to complete a task in a designated period of time.
Yeah, so that data is very important for you.
It's critical.
And I would say software.
Yes.
And applications that you use to make these forecasts, to be able to pull that information all together. And I'm sure over the years, probably workforce management, software and applications and the process has changed. Would you say over your career in dealing with workforce management?
Yeah, there are definitely key players in the industry. We use IEX, which is owned by a company called NICE. That is it. In the 20 years I've been around workforce management, that's generally accepted as one of the higher tier, better solutions that's out there. It was the first system I was ever exposed to was IEX. So, but there are systems that have been around for a long time, and I've used about 6 different systems. The core of it is the same. They take information in and then digest that information and then help provide forecasts and schedules. That's the core function of your workforce management solution.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Let's talk maybe about the relationships between the SSRs and other departments, like, say, dispatch. We talked about their relationship with facility outreach, but do the SSRs actually work with other groups within the company?
Oh, yes, absolutely. They have to have a little bit of information about every department, because if there's an opportunity with changing the mode of transportation that our members need, or if a time changes for a member's appointment, they need to be able to reach out to dispatch and be able to escalate their concern to ensure that that member is still able to make it to their appointment. So it's important that they build that relationship. They understand what happens behind the scenes with dispatch, and also allow our dispatch partners enough time to be able to make those changes so that we are successful in ensuring our members are getting transported.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit about the CSR again, kind of a 2-part question. Tell us about the value of a great CSR, and maybe what does having a positive attitude when interacting with members mean to our company?
Okay, and I'll start with the second question. Having a positive attitude, because we just went through that soft skills training, and that was part of our focus about having a positive attitude, because it starts with the tone. If your tone is pleasant when that member calls in, you sound as though you're ready to assist that member, and you build that relationship right away. So it's important that they understand it's not always how we say what we say, it's how we say it. And it starts with that inflection in your voice. So, and that creates a great relationship. The members understand that we're here to assist, and they appreciate the service that they receive from our members. Many of our members have mentioned that they've seen a great shift in the type of CSRs that we have, and they spend a lot of time providing compliments on the service that they're receiving. So those skills that they need to be able to handle those members and entering those trips correctly, making sure they're entered correctly the first time, not making the errors so the member's trip is scheduled on time, to the right location, the right mobility type. So there's a lot that goes into booking those trips for our members, and if our members, our CSRs, don't pay attention to detail, we can cause issues on the back end that can disrupt our dispatch partners and also the facilities. So it's like a chain effect, a chain reaction that can delay or cause a member to miss their appointment. But it all starts with our frontline agents getting it right the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And, and I would just like to commend our customer service reps because I know with anyone, if you're human, you're going to have good days and bad days.
Yes.
You're going to have days that you come in that, every day can't be perfect, but you've got to be able to shift into that mode of positivity for the sake of that member to ensure that they're being heard, that they're being taken care of. And I know the members appreciate it. And I'm sure they give a lot of feedback, as you mentioned, on doing great things or hearing great things from the members. So that's a challenge. So, I mean, are there any times like, if a rep comes in and they're having a rough day, is there anything that you all can do to encourage them? Or how do they get through when they may be having a bad day, or maybe something, happened that they weren't expecting and it got thrown off a little bit, and you can kind of tell, can you kind of tell what's going on sometimes?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what comes with being a part of leadership, understanding your personnel, understanding their behavior. If they seem a little down, that energy's low, they don't seem as focused. We do have some offline work that we can do. That's part of the customer service department. Incomplete trips, data entry. So if we have the capacity, working with our workforce management team, to take that agent off the phone maybe for an hour to work on something else, we do that. We do have those one-on-one conversations to remind our members, our customer service reps, not to take it personally. Our members are going through some challenges and sometimes that misdirected anger. So giving them the tools to understand and not take it personally and just be willing to move on to that next call and understand that it may be something bigger than what they're hearing on the phone. So just do everything they can do to assist our members.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, workforce management. I know that we have a really cool room where your team works because I've seen
it's a command center.
A command center. Let me get that right. Yeah. The command center, and it is really cool. We got monitors all on the walls. Now, your group, do they all do the same thing, or are there varying responsibilities?
Yeah, excellent question. So, on a very high level, anybody who enters the workforce management realm, your typical first responsibilities are real-time monitoring. And so all those TVs that you see, what it does is it's comparing the schedule that the agents have, and we're talking hundreds of agents, by the way, displayed on all these screens, compared to what's actually going on. So, for instance, an agent's supposed to come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. If they are not in at 8 o'clock in the morning, they become out of adherence. And these screens are showing our real-time analysts the out of adherence, right? So then we can start to engage leadership. Hey, where's Joey? We noticed he's supposed to be here. He is not, right? We're also, those real-time agents are also checking our attendance voicemail as well. So if they hear that Joey called in sick that day, or called in saying that they were going to be late, then on the fly, we will adjust the schedule to take them out of adherence, but it's so that we now know, we can put a check mark. Okay, we know that Joey's running 20 minutes late, so we can adjust the schedule. So now they're not on our board, right? They're not in front of our face. So those are some of the things that all those screens are looking, helping the agents to see. We also monitor weather. Weather has a huge impact on call volume and what may happen. And so we've got the Weather Channel that's up and running. I've been in command centers in the past where we also have the news running as well. So if there's anything that's going on throughout the nation that may impact agents' abilities to get to work or impact our customers, which may prompt calls to come in, these are things we're trying to watch real time.
Now that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and the weather thing, I didn't know that, but that's fantastic. So I mean, we're really making sure that we cover everything in terms of transportation, people getting into the job, those types of things, any events that occur that might affect the job or affect the members getting to their appointment, or the call center rep being able to get in and handle their job accordingly. So yeah, great information. Let's look down our list and talk about Well, CSRs. Now, can a CSR become a workforce management person? Is that a pathway, or and maybe both of you can answer this. What is the pathway maybe to becoming a workforce management staff member? I don't know. Or can anyone from any part of the company say, "Well, I'm interested in being a part of workforce management"?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. My first experience in the contact center, this is how old I am, was selling AT&T long distance on the phone as an agent, right?
Okay.
That's what I was doing, working part-time at nights.
Yeah.
And then from there I was asked to contribute off the phones. And then about a year after being hired as an agent, I was a workforce management real-time analyst. So the answer is yes. Coming off the phone, is it mandatory? Absolutely not. But to have that agent experience and background, I think helps when you're putting schedules together and when you're looking at things real time. Knowing that you've been on the phone or been in those shoes, I think is a strong plus when it comes to entering the workforce management department.
Wow, awesome.
And I think you have a few workforce analysts on your team now that came from the Verida call center.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yes.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Now let's talk about maybe some of your lead team members. Of course, because even within customer service, you have team leads and supervisors. Maybe talk about them a little bit and what their roles are.
Our team leads and supervisors are managing the day-to-day operations. So just as Richard mentioned, if there's a staffing issue, if there's an agent running late, they need to understand where their members are, where our team members are, and be able to adjust because they may have a particular role that's crucial. It could be offline SME, subject matter expert. It could be our floor support that support our agents when they have questions and they need someone real time. So they have to be aware of their staff, where they are, what they're doing. They also have to be able to take escalations from our members. If there is a concern or question that's escalated, it allows it to go through that progression where it goes to a team lead, a supervisors, and elevates up if needed. But the team lead is a crucial role. It is a part of our succession plan. So it's what we do to prepare for leadership. So we prepare our leads to be ready to step into that supervisor role, and it gives us a bench. So we're always prepared if there's an opening. And it's so much more helpful to have someone that's from our internal team, understands the business, and is ready to step right into that role if we have a supervisor that promotes to another department or into another role altogether. So they are our backbone of the department. They work very hard. They provide coaching sessions, one-on-one development that helps the career path of the agents, and a lot of times the team leads build that relationship with the CSRs so that many CSRs aspire to go into that next level of leadership, and that's that next step up. So it's very important to build a relationship, be very knowledgeable about the contract that we're handling so that they're giving accurate information and they're consistent in that information that they're providing to our agents so that our members are receiving the same information and accurate information.
Wow. Thank you. Now, let's just maybe talk about a couple of things to close out today. Maybe is there any, testimonial or a feel-good story, maybe a quick one that you can share from a customer service standpoint in terms of working with a member where a customer service rep maybe saved the day, so to speak. Anything you could share with us?
Well, it happens really daily, but there's always one story that stands out. And it is sometimes where it starts with a service failure that turns into a success story. We may have had an agent, we did have a member that was stranded because of something that was out of the realm of the member's control or provider's control. So now we had to think on the fly on how do we still assist this member with getting to their location, getting home safely, and not further delaying their travel home. They had a small child, and they needed to get home. So the agent went outside the box and actually found a local taxi company to just call the taxi, set up the taxi, and ensure that that member was transported from that location where they were stranded and got to their home safely. The member was very, very, very appreciative of them going the extra mile and taking the steps to ensure the member was compensated for that trip for the taxi, because the member wasn't expecting to come out of pocket, but they found a solution and completed that handshake, so the member was made whole, they were able to get home safely, and they were very appreciative of it.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, thank you both. I think this has certainly been a very informative session, and you've given us a lot to think about, a lot to know about both departments. And hopefully, if you all out there have any further questions, feel free to send those to our email at podcast@verida.com. And until then, thank you all again for being our guest today. Fantastic job. And we'll see you next year. This is our last podcast. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a great year, our first year to do this new type of communication to all of our Verida family. We hope you enjoyed it and have happy holidays.